We have another video by the Hodge twins, or the conservative twins. Um, they're gonna be talking about a guy who was shot in Austin, Texas. Uh, Garret Forrest, who was trying to prevent a guy from ramming his car into a crowd of people who were protesting. The guy ended up shooting him over it.
Man, this has been a horrible weekend for some people.
Yeah, especially protesters. Not for us, though.
Yeah.
We had a blast.
Had a great weekend.
You'll be amazed if you just follow law and order and you treat people with kindness.
Yeah.
You treat one another good. How much fun and peace you could have.
Yeah.
They wanna try to paint a picture that if you don't show people respect or follow the law, that is why these people are getting killed, especially by police, even though you have a number of people who were killed while, obeying the law or doing nothing. Tamir Rice is one of them, who was a kid that was playing in a park. He was, the cops was called on him because somebody said he was pointing a gun that looked fake at people, and within seconds of the cops arriving, they shoot him. You have Breonna Taylor, who was killed in her own home, just like a person by the name of Botham Jean. You have Anita Jefferson, who was also killed in her home after the cops were called about her door being left open. You have Eric Garner, who was doing nothing wrong when the cops put him into an illegal chokehold. You have Stephon Clark, who was standing in his grandmother's backyard. There's several people. Uh, uh, Philando Castile, who was just pulled over for a traffic stop, and the cops shoot him for after reaching for his driver's license. Though the cop was informed that the guy was licensed to carry a weapon, the cop shot him for trying to get his license, claiming he was going for his gun. You have Freddie Gray, who was just put into a police vehicle, and even though he was restrained, he was found with a severed or a nearly severed spinal column. The idea that you just got to respect and obey the law is pretty bogus because people have been killed by the cops even though they were doing nothing wrong. And that's just a small list.
Yeah, respect. Treat people with respect.
That's all you have to do.
It always worked for us. You protesters, y'all should take notes.
Yeah.
But there was this man down in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
He lost his life during I wouldn't even call it a protest, but that's how the news is spinning it.
It's really an insurrection.
Yeah. Listen at Gail.
Well, the Constitution does state that removing a government if people find said government to be abusing its authority, that, it can be removed. The founding of our government is based upon a revolt against a previous government. So this idea that, people revolting against a government is bad is quite an odd narrative when it is considered to be such a praised act by the colonizers of the United States. But I guess when people are trying to fight for equality, it is bad to have some kind of fight against the government.
king.
Peaceful protests across the country were upended by violence over the weekend. Clashes erupted in multiple cities. The protests focused around police brutality were seemingly inflamed by President Trump's plans to deploy more federal agents. Many demonstrators say the violence undermines their message. In Austin, Texas, one man was killed during a march there. Carter Evans has been following the unrest.
Footage uploaded to Facebook captures the moments shots rang out in downtown Austin. About 100 people were marching at the time. One of them, 28-year-old Garret Foster, was killed. Police say Foster, who had protested regularly since the death of George Floyd, was legally carrying an AK-47 at the time. He and other protesters, according to authorities, surrounded a car after the driver turned aggressively toward demonstrators.
Okay, since the protests have started, there's been like 40 to 60 incidents of people using their vehicles to hit and kill protesters. So their behavior of trying to stop the car is not unfounded, trying to prevent people from getting hurt. And the driver wants to respond with murdering a person. It's claimed by the driver that Foster pointed his gun at him, while other witnesses say that he had his gun pointed at the ground.
Driver opened fire, striking Foster before speeding away. The driver later called 911 and claims Foster pointed a rifle at them before they fired in return.
Gail, CBS News. Peaceful? Girl, you should look up the word peaceful. Yeah, you need a Webster's dictionary, man. Obviously, you do not know what the definition of peaceful is. Yeah, you don't gotta go to the library and actually buy it. You can get an app for your phone, man. You can double check everything. Yeah, I actually got the definition right here. It's pretty simple, but I got it pulled up just to make sure I don't make any mistakes. You know why? Because I'm responsible, Gail. And we are professionals. We are responsible, professional journalists. I mean, I know your producers write everything out and you're reading a teleprompter, but Gail, you're the face. You're the one that's spitting out this stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna hold you accountable, not your producer. I'm holding you responsible. Yeah. You do realize you have rights now, right? Yeah, this ain't 1950 anymore. You can say, scratch this, add this, say this different. Yeah, we got rights now. We's free, Gail. You're not a slave to your producers over at CPS. If it sounds crazy, you don't have to repeat it. Yeah, because you're the one looking crazy. The definition of peaceful, again, it's pretty simple. Yeah. Free from disturbance, tranquil. Does this look tranquility to you? This ain't nothing, this is not tranquil.
So, okay, their idea of a protest is what? People just silently standing and not saying anything? I don't understand. Because when people were doing that before, when they were kneeling for the flag and the anthem, it was considered bad. But now that people are walking in the streets, it's considered bad because they're not quiet enough. Why is there always these conditions on how people should protest against the government, especially when it's the right trying to dictate how people should protest for inequality, for equality or against systematic abuses by the police or the government.
Not only are these people are not even walking in the middle of the street. Yeah. They walking in the middle of an intersection. That's like 4 streets.
Yes, protests can take place in the street. That is not illegal, nor is it considered a non-peaceful protest. The people on the right seem to have this idea that anytime you have a protest that is in the streets, it's considered a violent protest because people can't drive. But that's not how it works. If you're inconvenienced, well, deal with your inconvenience. There is a whole lot worse going on, like, people being killed by the cops.
They impeding traffic. Yeah. This is not peaceful. This is not tranquil. I mean, the guy that lost his life, he went out there with his rifle. Yeah. I mean, that's his right. That's his Second Amendment right. Yeah. Right? And I support that. But when you involve yourself in a group of people who's not being peaceful, who are disturbing the peace, who's impeding traffic, right? And then the driver of the vehicle claims that he pointed the rifle at him. What do you think's gonna happen?
Okay, so a driver drives his car through a crowd. People try to stop it, and a guy gets shot by the driver, and it's considered okay because these people weren't peaceful because they were walking in the street and talking. It's crazy how these two YouTubers are trying to justify a person being killed.
Yeah. What in the Joe Biden do you think's gonna happen? A man carrying a rifle during a Black Lives Matter protest, impeding traffic, takes his rifle to a protest. He's not using that rifle to, show everybody I'm practicing my Second Amendment right. No. He took that rifle there for one reason, to intimidate people. Yeah, that's...
Okay, if that's the only reason, then what about the people on the right who protest with guns and stuff to show support for Second Amendment, the Second Amendment right and stuff? Is that just to intimidate people, or does that only happen when it's people fighting against systematic racism, abuses by the government, police brutality, or any type of injustice against minorities or the oppressed?
And I do not condone that. Yeah, and that's the way that driver of that car is going to take that. Yeah. He's surrounded by hundreds of people. People are trying to get in his car, right? And then they point the rifle in the car.
Nobody was trying to get in his car. All people were doing was just trying to keep him from driving at a high speed through a crowd of people.
Intimidating. He's feared for his life. Yeah. I mean, the first thing they teach you when you go to the shooting range, never point your weapon at anything you don't intend to shoot. Yeah. The first day, the first minute, that's the first words out of your firearms instructor's mouth. Yeah. And this dude points his weapon at a man inside of a car? I mean, I understand Austin, Texas is...
So far, I have not seen any proof of Foster having pointed his weapon at the driver in the car. Once I find evidence of that, I'll talk about it. But they're just taking the word of the driver. We'll, I guess, just have to wait for more evidence. Oops.
I mean, I understand
Accidentally,
Austin,
muted
Texas is the Portland of Texas, but this is still Texas. Yeah. He ain't the only one with the gun. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to say Trump incited the violence by sending in federal troops? It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. That's why people are burning down their own cities, because he's going to send federal police officers there. It's his fault. He's trying to regain law and order. It's not Trump's fault. He's sitting at home drinking wine and eating cheese on crackers.
Okay, sending people into a city to kidnap them in unmarked vehicles with unmarked uniforms, that is illegal, and that does not bring about law and order. And yes, it's gonna make an already angry group of people even angrier when the group of people are protesting against police brutality, and you have more police committing brutality.
He's trying to stop this. It's his fault. That's the way you're painting things.
Yeah, the fault belongs to the rioters.
Not the president of the United States for simply doing his job.
It's the president's fault. Look, what is it? And then the Washington Post. What was the title of the article?
I got it right here, man.
What's the title of the Washington Post article?
You ain't gonna believe this, everybody. Look, this is how the Washington Post is twisting this. An armed Black Lives Matter protester confronted a car that drove towards a march. The driver fatally shot him.
Yes, because that is what happened.
I mean, that's 100% accurate, but you're lying by omission.
Yeah.
You left out very vital, important details. Facts.
Y'all made it sound like he drove up on the sidewalk or something.
These people impeding traffic in an intersection. This man.
It is not illegal to protest in the street. Which, again, that is something people on the right want everybody to believe, that if you are protesting in the street and people hit you or try to hit you, it's your fault because you're committing violence by protesting in the street.
Man took a rifle to a protest and pointed at somebody in that car when people was trying to jump in his car.
I don't even see how anybody follows the media anymore.
I mean, Washington Post, didn't y'all learn anything from Nick Salmon?
Y'all just settled that lawsuit with him.
Defamation.
Yeah, he's the highest paid journalist you have at the Washington Post.
Yeah, and he's never written an article. He just edits yours. Well, here you go. I fixed it for you.
Yeah, he's the editor there.
Yeah, I'll take $200 million for that. And look how people on CBS News actually aired friends of this man who lost his life. Look how they're spinning it.
His wife being African American and he being a champion of justice and wanting to make sure that all people are treated fairly and equally.
Yeah, they brought up that he's got a black wife, which is great. That's America right there.
I don't care if she's purple. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with what happened.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, you said this man is a champion of justice. He's fighting for equal rights for everybody.
What the left and the right wants that.
Yeah.
When I hear y'all say that, it's like y'all act like on the right.
Right. The right also wants equality for people, which is why they've been against homosexuals getting married. They're still against blacks being able to vote, which is why they do a lot of gerrymandering to prevent black people from voting. It's why they want women to be out of the workforce and back to being just a housewife. The right is definitely does not want equality for all people. They want equality for some people. And this isn't support for the Democrats, but it's definitely bogus when you try to say that the right wants equality for all people.
Right, we want to put black people back in chains. We don't want equal rights for women. Both sides want that.
Right.
And this country is not systemically racist. Y'all just generated these false stories about white cops and black people.
Yeah.
And look where it's got us.
Yeah.
False? No, you just gotta look at the stats and just the history of America. Just because the civil rights movement happened just 60 years ago doesn't mean that the racism towards black people instantly dissipated and people still didn't do racist stuff. You still have reverse redlining that happens to black people and other POCs where they're charged higher prices for services or goods, like during the 2008 housing boom and bust, where it was found out that, yes, black people and POCs were giving higher interest rates for loans for houses compared to white people. That is racism, and it's systemic. Because long in the past you had redlining, where various banks and stuff would not give loans to black people or people in certain areas, which usually were heavily populated with black people. And this was something that the government supported. You had the Wagner Act, which was rights given to unions, but the Wagner Act allowed white unions to exclude black people.
You guys are ripping this country apart. The media. We don't have a problem with racism in this country. We have a problem with stupidity.
Again, racism doesn't exist in America anymore. The narrative of the right. The only people that are racist are the people that call out racism. Even though you can see on a daily basis the racism that is within America. Oh, you had what? A couple of cops a few weeks ago that were fired from their positions as being cops because they were recorded on their own police devices saying they wanted to kill black people and were hoping there was some kind of race war so that they could genocide black people and put them back a few generations to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
Good official.